Hello, everybody. It's Saturday night. Time for a live stream on a busy Formula One weekend.
Sim only for Simyo kun je ook als easy.
Okay. Here we are. Oh, it's a bit dark. Yes. That's better with the spots on. So, how is everybody doing tonight? It's really warm in Holland. It was about 30 degrees all day Celsius. It's pretty nice. Tanvir, no, FP3 has just been. It finished about half an hour ago. You want to know the results? I'll look it up for you. FP3 Canadian GP results. Lando Norris had the quickest time. He was the only one that went below 1:12. Charles Leclerc, in the end, he drove 7/100ths of a second slower. George Russell in P3, who was about a tenth and a half slower. Lewis Hamilton was 2.5 tenths slower, and Max in P5 was 2.7 tenths slower. So I'm just gonna say hi to everybody who's here. Hello, Marie B. Is it freezing in Australia? Yeah, it's winter there, of course. I'm so glad you're staying up for this, because I don't know exactly which part you are, but yeah, it's in the middle of the night there. Hello, Tanveer. Hello, Inge. And who else have we got? Ah, Christina. Hello, Christina. Hello, Aldo. And Seb. Yeah, I know Aldo and Seb. They always say hi. I think they're truck drivers or something, because I've seen them around before, but they always just listen in. Or taxi drivers, I don't know. Okay, Marie, you're at work. What do you do for a living? Are you like the night nurse? Or do you work at security? They pull all nighters. So yeah, I love the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a great track, and it's a track where I really want to go at some point. Right. So you work in healthcare, Marie. Nice. Um. Yeah. So the Canadian Grand Prix with the Wall of Champions, it had some banger races, but yeah, I checked out a few races in the past week, and they were not so good, except for last year. One was a banger, with the rain, and then it got dry, and then it rained again. It was an exciting race. Yeah. So Inge, I was checking out your Twitter profile. It says that you're from Cornwall, or that you've lived there or something. It's interesting. I hear it's beautiful there. Yeah, so what have I got prepared? Yeah, Christina, that's right. I didn't see many groundhogs. So how many people have we got in now? Oh no. So I know how to start. Mm-hmm. 11. Ah, you're in Friesland. Very nice. So yeah, I've got about 9 topics I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about Max and his penalty, the penalty points. It's the same topic as my last video that nobody watched. Um, the free practice sessions. I want to talk about Ferrari. I want to talk about McLaren. I want to talk about something I heard about Alonso. I want to talk about Derek Warwick, the steward. I want to talk about Mercedes. I want to talk about Hadjar. And then I want to do some qualifying predictions. So yeah, Max's 11 penalty points. There's a few things he said about it. That he's not going to change his driving style. That he trusts himself. That he'll know he'll make the right decisions when it comes to battling. He loves living on the edge, and I also don't think F1 wants him to miss a race. So if he needs to go really crazy before he gets a penalty and a penalty point that will see him out for the next race. They'll find a way to sort of keep him in. And that brings us to the next problem, and that is that the British fans will be screaming for Max's head at every little situation that'll happen over the next 2 weekends. That's pretty much what my last video was about as well. And then Martin Brundle, working for Sky Sports F1, he comes out with something like how the drivers who fight Max need to goad him. That's goad, G-O-A-D. Or is it G-A-O-D? Or is it G-O-A-D? Goad. Yeah, it's G-O-A-D. Goad. Not goat, goad. I've looked it up, and it means that you sort of annoy somebody to get a reaction from them. And yeah, Martin Brundle, always unbiased, working for Sky Sports F1, says that Max's opponents need to annoy Max so Max will get a penalty to get a race ban. So I'll leave that there. And yeah, it's Goad. Yeah. Thanks, girls. um, I don't think that's fair. For a commentator to sort of push other drivers in that direction. Like, they're really dying for Max to get a ban, and they can say, "Oh, he's just like Schumacher; he's getting banned." Ah, so annoying. So yeah, a lot of eyes will be on the FIA and on Max. And so far, the free practice sessions, we went through them without Max impeding or unsafe releases or red flag infringements or speeding in the pit lane. Any sort of nonsense, nothing so far. And hopefully he can get through qualifying as well and through the race without too much bother. Um, so yeah, it's um, it's just annoying that Sky Sports F1 always feels the need to do this. Yeah, in K-Mac, he got a penalty last year, or a race ban. And yeah, uh, I remember when it happened, he had like a minor touch with Gasly, and a lot of people said that it was ridiculous that he got a penalty point for that. But then again, Kevin Magnussen caused a lot of drama that season, especially in Monaco with Perez, which he didn't get any penalty points for. So yeah. Marie says Brundle has a conflict of interest. In Max, I trust. Boom. Yeah, I believe the same thing. But there will be crying when Max gets into like a race incident type of situation, and they'll all be, in football where everybody's sticking up their hands, going like, he did something, or they start rolling around. I do expect the British pundits or the commentators to do this, and also certain drivers will, yeah, try to do that as well. I just hope that the FIA doesn't um, doesn't fall for it, and I hope they'll take it easy on Max a little bit. So yeah, the free practice sessions. In free practice session 1 yesterday, Max was the fastest. The track was really green, so very low grip, and Max is obviously very good when there's low grip. Like I said, it's only FP1. He usually starts, practice really bad, and then it gets better towards the end of the weekend, or like the end of the Saturday. But now he was, he was pretty happy. And then in FP2, they tried a few new bits and new stuff, new settings and stuff, and that didn't work. So they reverted back to what they were already doing. And I have to be honest, I usually don't miss free practice sessions, but the business Samantha and I run, we get up at 4 a.m. on Friday. Well, every day, pretty much. And then sometimes we do get an opportunity to have a nap in the afternoon, but that didn't happen on Friday. And then by the time FP1 was done, I watched the last 30 minutes of a film, and I was watching like this. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed, and if I'm awake at 12 o'clock when free practice 2 starts, then I'll get up. But I woke up at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning, this morning. So, and that was pretty annoying too. But yeah, we've got 3 cats, and especially the oldest one, Trixie, she gets very vocal when she wants attention. So yeah, I was up at 5 o'clock, which I kind of like as well. Just I put on YouTube and I watched La VS, and I watched the Tomo video, an old one, and I watched Josh Ravel's new video, and I'm sitting there with a big mug of coffee, a double cup of coffee, and I was munching on some chocolate waffles, the cornerstone of every breakfast. And I enjoy those 2-3 hours on my own in the living room, and it was still cool. So yeah, so I missed FP2, and then FP3 I watched, and what stood out for me was that Ferrari was looking good. Lewis Hamilton set the fastest time a couple of times. Leclerc had a very unfortunate Friday where he crashed the car in FP1, and then couldn't drive in FP2 because they were still fixing things. But then in 3 on 8 lap old softs. He set the second fastest time. So yeah, I don't want to predict the qualifying just yet, but it looks like it's going to be between 4 teams, which is interesting. You know, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. Well, Max with Red Bull, because Yuki Tsunoda was nowhere. It's very quiet in the chat. Is everybody okay? I'm just going to say hello. What else was I going to say? Christina says, I so wish for Max to win in Silverstone just to see all those haters' sour faces. Yeah. I said in my last video that if Max gets banned, then let it be for the Silverstone Grand Prix, because they hate him there anyway. And yeah, in a way, it would be interesting to see how 2 other drivers would do in the Red Bull team. You know, my guess is that they would finish outside of the points, both of them. You know, that they'd finish 15th and 13th, which is which is a reality, because yeah, Max can just work that complicated car. Hey Eddie, good to see you, man. I also watched your video this morning about the infighting in Team LH, and I agree with you. I back Cameron all the way, and those other clowns, I only know them because of your channel, and I have no intention to give them any sort of interaction whatsoever. I'm not even going to name their names. Polish Eddie had a thunderstorm coming through and had to secure the chickens. Yeah. You don't want to scare the chickens because they'll not lay any eggs. Tanvir says, I think if Max gets banned, Lawson will be in the seat, I guess. Yeah, well, he's had 2 races with that seat, but Hadjar is better than Lawson. So, so yeah. Where was I? So yeah, I was talking about the free practice sessions and how Ferrari was looking good. But Christina, I know Ferrari is your team and Charles Leclerc is your driver. But there's a lot of rumors swirling around about Frédéric Vasseur, about how he might get sacked. It was 2 major Italian papers, and they blame him for everything. Now, with these corrupt Italian papers, you don't know if it's a planned attack from Ferrari management itself, or that it's just those 2 papers looking for a way to sell a lot of newspapers. But apparently, Fred Vasseur is going to get sacked, and they've offered the seat to Christian Horner, who's also a bit in a bit of a pickle because of the lawsuit that's still coming in the UK. And the British media isn't talking about this because it's a legal case in England, so they're not allowed to talk about it at all until the case is done, I think. So yeah, that's interesting. And I've also heard that the team principal of the Ferrari WEC team. Now I forgot his name. I was supposed to remember. He's doing a great job with the WEC team because they keep winning lots of races, and I think they won Le Mans 2 seasons in a row. So yeah, they might put him in front of the Formula One team, which would be interesting. Right, I see something is going on in the chat. Okay. Yeah, Lindblad. Arvid Lindblad. He's half English, half Norwegian, and they gave him the super license faster, so he's only 17, but he's still allowed to drive an F1 car. So we're probably going to see him in an FP1 session at some point this season. Yeah, it's possible that one of the Racing Bull drivers gets moved forward to the Red Bull seat if Max gets a penalty or a ban, and Arvid Lindblad gets his first Formula One race. It's possible. Christina says, if they replace him, then they are even more stupid than I thought. Yes. Like, in the last 7 years, they've replaced 5 team principals and they won nothing. I personally, and I still am, was a big fan of Mattia Binotto. I just, like, he has this funny curly hair, right? Black curly hair on top of his head. But then his expression is always very cool and collected. And then, especially when he speaks Italian with his low voice and everything, there's a certain air about him. And then, remember that amazing picture of him talking to Charles Leclerc saying, "You're not going to talk about this," in the media. And I just love that picture. But yeah, I don't know. Like, he may have been responsible for the fuel hose gate scandal, and yeah, when the results weren't there, they kicked him out and they put Frederick Vasseur in. But now apparently history is repeating itself. Even though I don't think he was responsible for the biggest decision, and that was hiring Lewis Hamilton. And because they hired Lewis Hamilton, they felt the need to change the car 99%. And because they changed the car 99%, they're struggling now. So it all builds up on top of each other. Like, my pragmatic mind would have said, Sainz and Leclerc, they're great together. They have a car which was pretty much the quickest towards the end of the season, or they could battle McLaren. So keep the car the same and build on that with the 2 drivers who are used to that car. I mean, that's common sense. But no, in the last season of the new regulation, they kicked everything out, kicked a good driver out, put an old driver in, and changed 99% of the car, and now they want to fire the team principal. And Frederick Vasseur said it very well himself. He said, over the last years, they've changed everything except for one thing, and that's management. Because I'm seeing hashtags on Twitter saying Elkan out and Visna out. And those are the 2 like main bosses at Ferrari. So, not that it's going to make much difference, all those hashtags, but it's interesting to see that people are thinking that way. Okay, yes. Tanvir says, again, CEO of V Corp is opposing Hadjar to be in Red Bull. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in point 8 today. Samantha's talking about chickens. Inge says Horner is in a pickle because of his pickle. Good one. And Tanvir says, wow, Horner at Ferrari. Yeah, I don't see that happening though. But it's possible. Charles is supposedly in talk with Toto. Okay, I haven't heard that. Interesting. And Polish Eddie says, that would be wild. Well, if Leclerc is losing faith in Ferrari, which I don't blame him for, then he needs to look at another team. I think he's a wonderful driver, so yeah. Christina says, Charles is not going to leave Ferrari. He has too much of a survivor's guilt for that. Yeah, I think so too. But then again, I've been surprised before. Christina was not... you're talking about Mattia Binotto. He was not good at management. Now, he was a bit of a technical nerd, was he? Wasn't he? Hey, Gentiles. Richard. Oh, you made it pretty early. Christina says, Fred is doing a great job. Top brass need replacement. Wiesner out. Elkan out. Marie says, I think Ferrari made a huge mistake there. And Christina says, yes, they did. And here's somebody called GXX. You're new here. Where are you from? I'm always curious where everybody's from. And there's zero chance. I've seen you before. I was meant to get a guy in here called Michael. And I had to say hello to his 84-year-old mother in Ireland, Gertie, who's a regular viewer of my channel. So, yeah, I've got young and old people on my channel. But yeah, 84 is not that old, you know, like 84 is the new 48. So yeah, GXX, let me know where you're from, because I'm always curious. I think it's time for me to go to my next chapter. McLaren. Yeah, this is the first time the McLarens look a little bit wobbly. Now, they tried a new front wing in FP1, and that didn't work for them. And then I think they messed up their whole Friday. But then Oscar Piastri in FP3 today, he looked a bit wobbly. And he hit the wall of champions and needed a new rear tire because he punctured it. So the McLaren's it's the first race that they look really vulnerable to what's happening. But then again, Lando Norris, he was fastest again. So apparently the problems they're having have a little bit to do with the wings not flexing that much. There was a certain corner where Norris just kept struggling time and time again. And apparently, according to the experts, that was because the wing didn't flex as much as it used to. So, you know, who knows? It's going to be an interesting race tomorrow. It's going to be super qualifying later on today, which is going to be pretty much right after this live stream, because I'm going to quit it in a half an hour, 9 o'clock, like usual. Let me see if anybody said anything in the chat. Gentile says, so now people are critical of Vasseur. I remember not too long ago everyone being positive. Yeah, that's the thing. Before the season started, the race was making videos saying, why it's the best time for Lewis Hamilton to join Ferrari. And yeah, everybody was singing Ferrari's praises and everybody had high expectations because this was going to be the year. And now that's already shifting, saying like, oh, in the new regulations, next year is going to be Ferrari's year. Lewis Hamilton's 8th. Which is a load of bullshit, if you ask me. So, Polish Eddie says he's been watching the F1 Academy. Yeah. Yeah, you need to be careful complaining about the women's racing because Rocket Powered Mohawk did a video about it and there was a lot of people offended about it. Which I think is strange because Rocket Powered Mohawk is critical about Lance Stroll. He has nicknames for all the drivers, and if a certain driver keeps on making mistakes, he'll trash them for it. Now, if women want to be treated equally, that means that if in a academy race there's like 9 crashes and only 4 decent laps being raced, I think it's fair to trash them for that as well, on the base of equality. So, but don't know your thoughts on it. I suppose you need to take into account that these women are not used to performing at that level just yet, and that's why you see more mistakes, and maybe you shouldn't be too hard on them if you look at that. So, yeah. So, I have a very balanced opinion about it. Equality, they should be trashed as well. Then again, take in account that it's all not that easy. So, I saved myself from being cancelled here. Tanvir says, wow, Oscar hit the wall of champions. Yes, but he's not a champion yet. And then, Lance window licker Stroll. Yep. Yeah, thanks Eddie. I try to be political correct. That's why I bleep out my swear words as well in my videos. So, anything more about McLaren? But like they're looking in a good position to be beaten for once. So that's interesting. Okay, point number 5. This is interesting. The guys on Sky Sports F1, because I always listen to their commentary to see if I can get offended by anything they say. So they started this free practice session with Nico Rosberg going on about Max Verstappen again, that he needed a black flag in Spain, but also that Max is a gladiator and he felt hard done by, and that's why he did what he did. So he also thought it was cool. So he's also quite balanced that way. And then they saw Fernando Alonso going straight at some point, and they started talking about how Alonso was seen coming out of the Alpine motorhome 4 times this weekend. And they were suggesting that he might go back to Alpine for a 4th time. The Alpine Renault combination. And yeah, that got me thinking, like, what if Lawrence Stroll has managed to get Max in and he wants Lance Stroll to keep on driving because it's his son, and then Alonso needs to go and he's already looking for another seat at Alpine, and Alpine's going to be very strong as well because they have a Mercedes engine, and apparently the Mercedes engine is going to be the strongest next season. So McLaren, Mercedes, Williams, and Alpine, they're all going to be the strongest next season. So yeah, it was interesting, and I thought I'd mention it. Personally, I think Alonso, he signed up to stay for 2025 and 2026, and he's always wanted to work with Adrian Newey, and he wants to drive a proper Adrian Newey car, and in 2026 he'll have a Adrian Newey built car. So I don't think he's going anywhere. But then I was thinking maybe he's doing it in a manager position, talking to Flavio Briatore, because Flavio Briatore is chewing up rookies by the dozen. He kind of ruined Doohan. At the minute, he's ruining Colapinto. Before the season is over, he's gonna ruin Paul Aaron, and maybe he wants to ruin Gabriel Bortoleto as well. And Gabriel Bortoleto is managed by Fernando Alonso. So that's something that I was thinking about as well. But let me know your thoughts on this. I'm just going to dive into the chat here, see what's been said. Okay, laughing at Richard calling him the window licker. Marie says Nando can't go back to that shitbox now. Aston Martin has Newey. Yeah, that's what I said. Rosberg is such a sensationalist, says Richard. True. I like him though. I like listening to him in the commentary. Christina says maybe they have a better canteen at Alpine. True, and he knows a lot of people there, but he didn't leave on the best terms there, so it's kind of dodgy that he's there. And Eddie says, I agree. I think that's exactly what it is. Max going to Aston and Stroll will stay, so Alonso will go back where it all began, pretty much. Okay, interesting. And it seems that older F1 champions praise Max, but not seen anyone champions after 2010. No. Maybe Alonso and Max will retire F1 at the same time to start endurance racing. They have been talking about it a lot. But yeah, Max is still waiting for WEC to sort out the weight issues, because he's a tall, heavy driver, and if he's paired up with Yuki Tsunoda, then it'll mess up the balance or something. I don't know. Something's going to happen before Max goes to a WEC. Inge says, not a chance Max will want Lance as a teammate. Well, I don't know why not. Max doesn't want a very demanding teammate like Lewis Hamilton or Carlos Sainz or Charles Leclerc. He doesn't want a alpha in there, and Lance Stroll is definitely not an alpha because he's pretty much beaten by all of his teammates. So yeah, Max and Lance are friends. I didn't know that. I thought Lance Stroll had only one friend in the paddock, and that's Esteban Ocon. Those two are really close. Mm-hmm. Hello, S. Yoko. Oh, she's talking only to Eddie. Okay, I'm going to go to the next topic. You guys do your own chat in the chat. Point 6 was Derek Warwick. Now, Derek Warwick is a steward, and he has been for a very, very long time. He's also the owner of a Honda dealership. And he did an interview once where he talked about the future of Formula One. And then he used a very English expression saying that Max was the great white hope for F1. And talking about the great white hope means it's not racial for someone to say that. But obviously Team LH, they saw it that way. And they have been pestering Derek Warwick, yeah, from day one. And every decision he makes, if he gives Max a penalty, the penalty is too light. If he doesn't give Max a penalty with his stewards, then yeah, he's pretty much biased, and everyone in in the FIA is racist and biased according to that particular group of fans. But anyway, Derek Warwick, he probably needed a little bit of cash. I don't know, but he started talking to casino.com kind of sites, so gambling websites. And he was talking about Max's penalty being fair, and he talked about how Lewis Hamilton deserves his 8th title, and yeah, all that stuff from that website gets clipped and then used by other sites. And I don't think a steward should do that in the first place, but then definitely not on a gambling site, because that's a conflict of interest. And it's especially stupid because his fellow Englishman, Johnny Herbert, was sacked for doing that exact same thing. So, yeah, Derek Warwick is suspended for one race, and he apologized, and he can continue with being a steward, but the next race, and he promised not to do it again. But yeah, I think it's pretty stupid. But then what surprised me was that Martin Brundle, Alex Brundle, Karun Chandok, they were all jumping to defend Derek Warwick, saying that he was the salt of the earth kind of guy, and he was a legendary guy and a proper friend, and he was amazing. And then I'm thinking, Derek Warwick has been abused since 2021. You know, he's been like threatened, and um, he's getting abused online all this time, and nobody jumped to defend him. But now the FIA did something to Derek Warwick, and all of a sudden everybody's defending him, like pundits and F1 people. And I think I know the reason. If they had started defending Derek Warwick when Team LH was 100% against him, they would have, got in trouble with Team LH. And as a Sky Sports F1 pundit, you don't want to get in trouble with your biggest customers. And that Sky Sports F1 is a Lewis Hamilton channel, pretty much. And that's okay that they cater to them. I cater to my audience as well, and which is more Max fans and lately Oscar Piastri fans. So that's all fine. But I think it's a bit two-faced to not defend Derek Warwick when Team LH is against him, and then when the FIA does something against Derek Warwick, all of a sudden they're all jumping out saying what a nice guy he is. So, yeah, that's pretty much the case I wanted to make here. You make up the decision yourself. Yes, hi Yoko. Eddie says, I have to run to install a window in my chicken coop because during the storm I had a tarp on it, and I definitely smashed the like button. Okay, Eddie. See you later. Make sure the chickens are okay. Okay, so no reactions about the Derek Warwick story. That's okay. I've got more. Because now I want to talk about Mercedes during the free practice sessions. Especially during qualifying in the race, the track will be colder than, like, it's not going to be a really warm race. And Mercedes does always very well there. and Mercedes has also done a few upgrades, and they're looking balanced and good. Although Kimi Antonelli is the first time he's driving in Canada, you can tell that he's taking it easy. You know, he's like a second off Russell, and I think it's smart. You know, there's no point in crashing your car during a free practice session because you're wanting too much. And yeah, just find your limits during the qualifying, and if that means you're gonna start from P8 and you have good race pace, then that's fine. You know, Kimi Antonelli turns out to be more sensible than we all expected him to be after crashing in his free practice session last year. He has scored very little points over the last triple header, but that's also because of reliability issues. Because an engine given up, there's not much you can do about that. You know, that's just really unfortunate. So yeah, Christina thinks Russell will be on pole, and he's definitely in the mix. Last year, he set the pole time, and then Max set exactly the same time later. So George Russell started in P1, but Max won that race, which was interesting. Yeah. So Mercedes, Toto Wolff. I always think it's funny how Toto Wolff in 2021 was always bashing Max. But ever since last year, Red Bull started performing less, and the chance of Max looking for another team, he hasn't been very critical of Max at all in the media. And yeah, what happened last race in Spain, Toto Wolff is very calm about it, and I still think he wants to sign Max because otherwise he would have given George Russell that seat already, that new contract. And I see in the chat everybody's talking about drivers bottling it. To be fair, there was a year where George Russell bottled it a lot, especially that race in Singapore. But he's been pretty much on it this season. Very steady and putting in good results. So yeah, Mercedes also a team to keep an eye on. Okay. Yeah, Gentili says, yeah, Toto did a complete 180 on Max. I've said a few times that if Max goes to Mercedes, then my next car will be a Mercedes private car. I drive a very beautiful Volvo now, but yeah, if that happens next year, I've been driving that car for 6 years. Then maybe it's time for another car. And I think a Mercedes with Max driving in the Silver Arrows, that would be nice. If Max goes to Aston Martin, then yeah, I'm just gonna buy an Aston Martin T-shirt or something, merch. I'm not gonna buy an Aston Martin car. It's a bit unpractical. So yeah, that was Mercedes. Okay, and for point 8, I have Hadjar. A lot of people have been advising Isaac Hadjar not to go to Red Bull. And at the start of the season, Hadjar said that he was ready for when he got the call. He was very brave. But now he's doing so well in the Racing Bulls, and he's seeing what Yuki has to struggle with. And he says, no, I don't want to go to Red Bull because I'm scared. And I think he's very wise. Peter Bayer, one of the bosses at Racing Bulls, also says, "Oh, for God's sake, don't take away that young talent from us too quickly." So he's not for it. So let's hope that Helmut Marko, who is apparently in charge of the juniors again, because this is a rumor that's been going around about Horner, that because of the impending trouble Horner is in for the lawsuit next year, they stripped away the Thai majority has stripped away some of the decision making from Christian Horner. That's the rumors I've read. That they take it very. They lost like $18 million paying out Checo Perez, paying him out of the contract that Christian Horner had given him. So apparently he took it upon himself, Christian Horner, to sign Perez, and now he had to kick him out and had to pay him $18 million. And they didn't take kindly to that. So, but yeah, Hadjar, he's very wise not to step in that bad seat. Like, the only time when those guys can get into that seat is when Max is gone. And I've said this many times before. I think Red Bull needs a reset. And a reset without Max. Yeah? So, next year, new regulations. The Red Bull powertrains for the first time. They've replaced, the Adrian Newey. They've replaced Jonathan Wheatley. They've replaced Will Courtenay. They upgraded GP. They've upgraded Hannah Smith. But all these people, they need to learn how to be in that new position, and that takes time. But because Max is there, they don't have time because the performance needs to be 100% all the time. So I'm thinking if Max leaves, they can build balanced cars again. Not the cars that Max likes, but cars that are more benign. And you'll get two drivers who will score, P4, P5s, sometimes a podium. They'll not fight for the championship. They'll not fight for the drivers' championship, but they'll put in good results and they'll build up for a new phase of domination again. I think that's what they need to do, and they need to do it without Max, because Max doesn't want to wait around for another 4 years before it happens. He doesn't have the time for that. But anyway, that has nothing to do with Hadjar. Let's see what the chat's saying. Inge says Merc road cars aren't what they used to be. Yeah, I'll probably buy one 5 years old. Christina says, but would Max suffer as much as Lewis with the new engine and all? No, I don't think so. Max is very adaptable. He can drive anything. Inge says Hadjar and Lawson are both virgins on this track. Curious to see how they'll handle it. Yeah, I'm also curious. And Tomveer says, I don't think so. Max is in his prime now. He's definitely in his prime. Marie says Hadjar needs to stay put. I agree. Inge says, well, silence can be bought. Red Bull, don't you dare touch Isaac. Yeah, I got it. It would be best for Hadjar to wait at least until 2027. Yeah. He would be good in Alpine as well, alongside with fellow Frenchman Pierre Gasly in a French team. But yeah, that's just a theory of mine. Okay, let's do some quality predictions. Just write out your top 3, okay? My top 3 is... Yeah, I I can't go around Max. So I'm saying Max, Russell, Norris. Max, Russell, Norris. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Max, Russell, Norris. Okay, guys, write yours in the chat. I'm curious. Yes, one Russell, says Inge. But I need a top 3. Samantha says Norris, Max, Alonso. Nice. You had to put Alonso in there. And Christina says Russell, Norris, Max. Okay. Inge says Russell, Max, and Charles. None of them sound weird, except Samantha's with Alonso. Tanvir says Lando, Max, Russell. Okay. And Marie says Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen. Hey! Lone Wolf is watching Le Mans. Is it any good, Lone Wolf? Is it an exciting Le Mans? Yeah, no. I've handled everything I wanted to handle. I have no ideas for videos this week yet. I'm just gonna let it come to me. It's been a bit strange the last while. Like, I had 2 videos doing very poorly. Well, like below 1,000 and 1,000 views. Then I had a great video about Max Verstappen ruining Lando Norris. Especially in Australia, they love that video. It's got like 5,700 views. And then my last video about, there being a magnifying glass on Max's racing due to the penalty points. That one hasn't even scratched 500 views yet. It's the YouTube algorithm. It's not favoring me. I think YouTube is doing a bit of British bias here. Lone Wolf says it. Le Mans is okay because you're following the Dutch drivers. Freins, he's in there, yeah. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna knock it off. Everybody have a wonderful qualifying and a lovely race tomorrow. And make sure to jump into my community page to vote on how many stars the race was. And then hopefully Monday, Tuesday, I'll have a new video out. And yeah, something exciting might happen this race, and it'll prompt me to make a quick video about it. And Marie says, we Aussies love anything about Lando being destroyed. Thank you also, Inge, for being a very loyal fan. See you later, Richard. See you tomorrow. Right, everybody. I gotta go. Take care now. Doei doei.